Welcome to Pirate Living Podcast, where we highlight ordinary people living extraordinary lives. These are pirates who take small, bold actions daily to create social change. Pirate life is all about rebelling and breaking the rules for good. Creating lasting social change starts by first breaking our inner rules. After all, the hardest rules to break are your own. The pirates we highlight have dedicated themselves to creating good trouble.
I have a scar from when I was little. I fell and scaffolding landed on me and I bit through my tongue. Mm-hmm.
You fell, scaffolding landed on you, and you bit through your tongue. What did you fall from? The scaffolding?
Yeah. So I've heard it a couple different ways. One was my older brother. I was following him up some scaffolding at a house my dad was building, and I don't think it was set up, like it was leaning against the house, and it fell and landed on me and I bit my tongue. But my brother says that I did the climbing all on my own. So not sure which story is accurate. He also likely encouraged me to do it though. Mm-hmm. He did not stop me, that's for sure.
Well, it looks like we've started. So welcome and join. Thank you for joining us on our special 1-year anniversary episode of the Pirate Living podcast. That was hard to get out. Mm-hmm. We just started chatting and Kristin hit record because there was gold. There was gold. More gold for the bloopers reel.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're super stoked that this is that we've been doing this for a year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, more than a year, really.
Yeah. Because we started interviewing people. What month are we in? We're in May.
This is May.
April of 2021. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is crazy.
I don't know what you just said.
Crap.
Oh, you went back to your headphones.
You blah blah blah. Come. What the heck? I mean, it says I'm using the right microphone. Anyways, this is usually what happens the first 15 minutes before the guests actually show up. Mm-hmm. A lot of chatter and a lot of technical issues. And we've been doing that for a year.
We have
some technical issue highlights. Actually, let's start there.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
What is your favorite technical issue?
Other than because of it, we got a song that goes Wi-Fi Wednesday. Actually, I think it changes every time I sing it. Ants in the Wi-Fi was by far my favorite because I had weeks of Wednesdays where we'd show up and I'd get the internet is unstable, showing as I'm hitting record and I'm breathing and crossing my fingers so that we don't have to ask the guests to come on again and record all over again. And so this had been going on for a while. And one of the weeks I went to go turn the router on and off, which I'd done before. This wasn't the first time I'd done it. However, I found ants crawling all over inside the Wi-Fi, like they're coming out of the Wi-Fi router. And so I murdered them with some bug spray. So that was my favorite.
That's definitely, I would say, number one highlight of Wi-Fi Wednesdays is ants in the router. I believe it was in that time period, there was an episode, and I don't recall who the guest was, that I think you got about 3 words in.
Yeah.
That was a highlight. I'm like, this feels like a solo podcast today.
We have a few of those. Mike Schwartz, we had super fun with that one too. Do you remember that one?
We did, yeah.
Because we were trying to get around the Zoom Wi-Fi Wednesday. So we tried some other thing that Mike Bledsoe,
platform.
Yeah. Mike Bledsoe had recommended it. So we went over there and all 3 of us were not in the room. Mike could see both of us, but we couldn't see each other.
I forgot about that. That was funny. And that was one of those ones where we learned to just hit record.
Mm-hmm. I lost you again.
Stand. See, Wi-Fi Wednesday.
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay.
So yeah, hit record.
Yeah, hit record. Because we had like 20 minutes of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to figure out what the hell was going on with Mike Schwartz that didn't get recorded, that y'all missed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. I remember like laughing so hard I wanted to pee myself. Tears coming down. And then we hit record, and then it's all like serious and business.
I know.
Like,
we were singing, we were laughing.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a question that wasn't even on our list.
I know.
One of the things we want to talk about. So what have we learned over the past year? What have you learned over the past year?
That's a great question. I'm trying to remember. I mean, we've done 68 interviews over this past year. Yeah.
Crazy.
I know.
There's only 52 weeks in a year.
I know.
If you wonder why your episode comes out 3 months after we chat,
we're starting to get a little closer now. Now it's more like 8 weeks.
Yeah, we're down to once a week, and we once in a while we'll take a week off.
It's true. Yeah, I'd say the greatest lesson in general with the podcasting part was learning first of all. I had a really weird line of like, we have too many, we're too far ahead, we got to drop a bunch of episodes, and being in scarcity of there's not enough in our backlog. Like if we have to take a break or go on vacation or something, we won't have enough without it being like go go go. So I got to find the balance of being okay with either having a pile up of them or telling myself that being 4 weeks ahead is still plenty ahead.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and it's not that we didn't do this, but just really the importance of researching the guests beforehand. Like, I want to be as well informed about our guests as we possibly can. And those times where there was very little information, because some guests, like, we haven't heard them on other podcasts or we don't know them personally, and all we have to go off of is maybe a website and Instagram. Those are harder because you're like, what is this person about? And it doesn't mean that like we don't have good conversations, but I feel like we can dig deeper when we already know a little something about the guests. So the importance of doing your research, and even just writing the intro for someone that we don't really know. We're like, this person is a person of interest, and we're going to talk to them.
Yeah.
They did a thing.
They did.
Not sure what.
Well, and being able to get curious too. So because I notice sometimes when it's harder to get the information from somebody too, it's hard for me to, I'll start getting in my head like, oh shoot, like we've been talking for 10 minutes and we've gone through almost all of our questions. Like, what else can I ask? What can I pull from this one thing that they said? So getting comfortable with being curious is something that, I still am working on, and was another thing that I've learned this past year.
And you know, I've heard other people's podcasts, and some people are just naturally really good, I don't know, storytellers and orators. And it's for our podcast, I feel like it's like two quiet introverts have come together and want to talk to people, which is great. And we've come a long way in the year in finding our voices between the two of us, right? And I think that's special to see how we've grown as hosts. And it's definitely a lot easier now to pull that information out of people, even when some guests aren't the chattiest, Not everybody is a Di Manuel or Aaron Janetti, where you can just say and go, and then you have an hour-long episode or hour and a half long episode. And you just got to cut them off and say, "Hey, we're kind of done now." Those were some special episodes too.
They were.
So yeah, it's a skill, and 68 in, we've put in the reps, and we're getting better at it.
Yeah. The getting better at it. And one thing I will say, I have heard Lance likes to tell me what he enjoys when he listens to the podcast is that the guest gets to speak and have their voice too. And so I will say a highlight to us getting curious and being better listeners and talkers sometimes is that the guest gets a chance to tell their story. And so it's highlighting the guest and not necessarily like us saying, this is where we're going and guests, you can join us.
Yeah.
Listening to the guests and getting to hear what they have to say. So that is a compliment that I've heard. Lance likes to tell it often.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's not the show is not about us. Sometimes to our detriment.
Yeah.
like we have coaching programs and things to promote, which we don't do a great job of, because I mean the whole concept behind this podcast was to highlight other people. So I'll say a lesson learned is that we can highlight and promote ourselves a little better.
True.
While still maintaining a focus on our guests, because we do want to share and amplify others' voices, which means a lot to both of us. Well,
while we're on it, tell us about your coaching. We haven't actually, not even when Mark interviewed us, we haven't talked about what we
That's
do.
True. We haven't talked about what we do. Okay. So I am a coach at I personal trainer both at a gym and at a physio clinic here in Vancouver. I also, so if anyone's in Vancouver and is not already working with me, you can work with me in person, both in East Van. Online, I also do like programming for people. And I do nutrition coaching. My nutrition coaching is focused mainly on women and women's health in terms of like hormones, especially if once we hit that like those 40 plus years, because things change when we get to those lovely perimenopausal and menopausal and postmenopausal years. Our needs really change in order to match the what's going on with our hormones. So that's primarily the coaching that I do one-on-one. Kristin and I have also done some group together where we focus on language and really just transforming your life through your language. We've done 4-week programs. I also do some of this work one-on-one, mainly with my nutrition clients in terms of like mindset around nutrition and stories. So yeah, that's my, tell us about you. Kristin, author, best-selling author.
I was going to say about the group program too. Well, we're hijacking your language to upgrade it. We also had a ton of fun. Like we were laughing a lot, and like big shifts happened in those 4 weeks with the fun and laughter. So yeah, we happily will schedule more. Yes. So yeah, I have a brand I'm building and growing called Language Ninjas. And within that, I this past year put out a book with my friend Rachel Badel. And it's called Abracadabra, I Know What to Do, teaching kids about language. So like the program Caron and I did, which Caron is showing.
Trying to see I framed her book because I love her that much. It's framed and sits on my shelf so I can see it every day.
Yay.
I also read it.
Yeah. I have 2 sitting behind me, but they're laying down. So yeah, Abracadabra, I Know What to Do is a kid's book about the power of our words. So with like a program Caron and I were doing together, it's a kid's version, very simplified of how we can change our words. And I enjoy the story. I read it 17 times in 2 days and I still loved it. So I'll pat myself on the back for that. Yeah. And then in that as well, I have actually this morning before we hopped on, I was working on my second little guided meditation for language ninjas that I'm creating. So I did one about comparing emotions to the weather. And now this next one's a body scan. So scanning from toes to head, and they're short, they're aimed at kids, however, great for adults too. So yeah, building, growing, creating, and having fun with that. And it looks like as I may have a parenting program starting eventually. So Rachel visited me a couple weeks ago. We actually just had an episode come out on Get and Lifted, which we were interviewed for. And we talked a lot about what we were doing and how it could potentially be used with parents. And we started creating like a guidebook for doing translations, I'll say. So taking the words that kids are, phrases that kids are saying, like maybe you're hearing the kids in your life saying, I can't do this often. You write it down, say it out loud, feel where you feel it in your body. Like, what does this feeling feel like? And then you get to circle or check a little face that goes with it. And then the next question is, where in your body do you feel it? And we have down head, heart, chest area, shoulders, and stomach. So getting kids to start noticing the words, how they feel when they say them and where they feel it. Then breathing and reframing that on the next page. So the next page is going on to, what can you say instead? So maybe instead they say, I can try. And then going through that, how does that one feel to say? Where do you feel it in your body? And then going through it all over again. So yeah, while she was visiting, it came out, we started creating. And now the more we go through it, I'm like, this potentially is a program for parents as well to help guide them through it. So
amazing. And you have a wins
oh yeah, I have a wins journal too. Man, what don't I have? Here I was trying to rush into book 2 and I'm like, wow, I have all these things that I keep saying I have. Yeah, wins journal for celebrating the wins, which I fill out one for myself regularly too, there's coloring pages, there's drawing pages, and it's all about celebrating those things, those moments that make us proud.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what we do.
That's what we do on the side when we're not podcasting, when we're not talking for 1 hour a week.
Right.
Okay. So my next question for you is, what guest has had the biggest impact on you so far?
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm going to go with Laurel Erica because, and we have her coming back again too. So that's exciting. She goes to a whole different level of language. Like, we love talking about words, and where she takes it is to the core, like everyday words that you're using and how those are basically hypnotizing us into living our lives and not noticing what's going on around us. And so yeah, it was I'm still wrapping my brain around it. I think that's one that I could listen to 20 times and still learn something new every time.
Absolutely. And it's funny, even we are on TikTok. Even that clip on TikTok is the one that's been listened to the most.
And it keeps going up.
It keeps going up. Yeah. 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 Very cool. I mean, how can you argue with Laurel Erica? Like, that was both of our episodes, one coming up too, were amazing. Just talking to her, you feel, I don't know, lighter. And that all being said, one of the episodes we did with the climate pirate, Francisca Elmer, it for me led more into actionable items of like looking at what I can do to help the climate crisis. And I do love that her view on it isn't one of like doom and gloom, and one of action. So I would say impact in the way of like getting me to take action would be that episode. And that was way back. It was like episode 4, something like that.
Yeah, it was one of the earlier ones. I just posted about all our pirate queens, so I'm trying to remember where she fell. So
yeah, that was a great clip.
Yeah, I will not admit how long that took me for something that only lasts 15 seconds.
Amazing.
But one thing that I still talk about that I learned from that Climate Pirate one too is about parrotfish poop and how it made the beautiful pink sands of Bermuda. So
yes.
I love to still use that little fact. Like coral reefs are important to get those pink sands, and so are parrotfish because they poop it out.
Exactly. And I think maybe, and asterisks there, that's why it was so impactful for me, because this is the thing that is like, well, most people, we talk about it like things hypothetically or whatever, but this is something that's like immediately impacting my home of Bermuda. That really opened up my eyes and made me realize how, especially in terms of the coral reef, how devastating that will be if we don't have a coral reef around Bermuda. That's really, really protecting my little home island from a lot of weather and all of those other.
I lost you again.
Wow.
Okay, so weather, you are.
And keeping our sand pink, which that may sound trivial, like, oh, the color of your sand, but it's one thing that helps drive tourism, which obviously helps to drive the economy of the island, right? So yeah, that was impactful for me.
There's a lot of great moments throughout the year. I mean, we've talked to so many people.
We have.
So did we ask what about the favorite moment part? Is that a question? Okay, so what's been your favorite moment so far over this past year?
Favorite moment, one that still brings a smile to my face, is when we talked.
Lost you again.
So stupid. But
today's a Wi-Fi Wednesday. Am I back?
You are.
Okay, good. One of my favorite moments is when we were talking with your husband Lance and Sean Lazio. So and the Rising Warrior folks, and when they were talking about the work that they do, and when it said like, so you're literally taking people from the Navy and turning them into pirates, and it just seemed to like blow both of their minds. like you and I are like, this is very obvious, clearly what you're doing. They're just like, oh my god. I think that was one of my favorite moments so far, because it just really made me laugh and brought a smile to my face. One. And it still does whenever I think about it.
Yeah. Speaking of, I have on my I'd rather be a pirate than join the Navy shirt for today.
I'm wearing my robe, which I usually am. I'm lazy. Okay, what about you? What is your favorite moment so far?
Oh man, I think one of my favorites is before we even started, we had that day where we were interviewing people, and we got so loopy that day. The people that we were interviewing to learn about the podcast and how to podcast, we went through a few people that day. We were so loopy, but I don't think they were getting our jokes and our laughter as much as we did. Then it led to like, we were laughing so hard that when we were talking about your name, I was saying, like, because we talked about how it's pronounced car on, and so which led me to like, we were being super sarcastic. And so we were saying we have no fun whatsoever. And when I think about you, I want to go turn my car off. And like, we're laughing so hard. And we hadn't even begun to podcast or interview anybody yet.
Yeah. It's still a no fun podcast.
No
obviously.
Fun ad.
No fun to be had.
We never laugh.
No.
And that I will say is one of my favorite things about it is like, we have serious conversations and yet we end, like, most of the time we're ending with a joke and we're laughing throughout it. Like, what we can have a very serious conversation and we also refuse to take ourselves seriously. Or I refuse to take myself seriously. If you want me to be more serious, you're gonna have to let me know.
No, you're good. You're good just the way you are. Never change. Binary acknowledge. So we do have some, obviously we have guests booked coming up. Is there anyone?
There you go again, trying to slip away.
I think it's my.
Your what?
I think my good mic is just taking up too much juice.
The computer's like, no.
No. Computer says he can't do this many things at once. Okay, let's try again.
Yeah. So
who that we already have booked are you super excited to talk to?
So I was looking at who we have booked. Wow, we're booked out to July 20. You know, I am gonna go with the lady. Now I'm forgetting what her name was, but you introduced me through TikTok to the leader of the Church of Prismatic Faith, right? That's what it's called?
Prismatic Light.
Church of Prismatic Light. And so, yeah, I'm excited to learn everything that I've been watching on TikTok as they're currently going through a church status to help protect people in the LGBTQ plus community against a lot of the ridiculous things that are happening here in the United States right now. So I'm excited to talk with her and learn more about her because she's going full pirate. This started 2 months most ago, and it's been taking off.
Yeah, they've already been recognized as an official church. Now I think they're working on their like tax exemption status and stuff. The Church of Prismatic Light, and they're basically they're and I don't know how it works in the States, but have basically to have religious exemption when it comes to healthcare, women's reproductive health care, like you said, anything to do with the LGBTQ plus community. That's super exciting. I saw her on TikTok and immediate was like, we have to talk to this lady, and she agreed. She's coming on, and they're doing so much with this church. It's like there's no deity. So it's not like a sect of Christianity or anything like that. It is just straight up, we're doing this so that we can protect marginalized people, which is amazing. And I'm excited too. Yeah. I'm also excited. We've got Courtney Olsen booked. She is the CEO of Girl Clothing and the author of Crushing It. So all about her life overcoming addiction, eating disorder, smashing the patriarchy, and all awesome things. And she is a total pirate. And I've worked with her in like a coaching capacity, and I'm so stoked to get her on. She is going to be she's larger than life, and so it may be one of those episodes where we don't talk a lot. Nice. That's great.
I'll wear my pink mermaid girl clothing pants for that.
Yeah, head to toe girl. I mean, oh my god, if you ever I mean, if you ever see me on my Instagram, that's pretty much, I mean, I'm in gym clothing all the time because I live in a gym. And all I wear is pretty much girl clothing. So the brand and what the brand stands for and what she stands for is all good things. And tune in to that episode when it comes out, because I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. So who would be your dream guest to have on? Somebody we haven't booked yet.
Oh, a dream guest. Oh, that's a really hard question.
Yeah.
Who would be a dream guest? Do you have one in mind while I think?
I would, so one that's popping, I'm guessing there will be more after I start talking, but one that pops to my head is I'd love to talk with Byron Katie someday. Because ultimately I want to be her someday. Like just the way she's doing the work that we have been learning about story work. That's part of her thing, and she simplifies it to asking a few questions, and she's able to work through those stories and keep those stories from forming by asking the questions, which don't ask me to quote them. All I know is it true?
Yeah.
And I want Lance likes to remind me, you're there already. Like, you're working toward it. That person exists. But my goal is to be at that place where I'm like, yeah, I'm hearing this thing from you, and I don't have to create it into being my story. I get to move through life as easeful as possible. And that's what I understand for her. She creates ease by getting those stories out of the way and doing it simply.
Yeah. The only one that's coming up in my mind for me is Bronnie Ware, the author of the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Mostly because we've already been turned down. So I'm like, no one says no to us. And it's just such an impactful book on my life. So if you haven't read it, we've talked about it like 5 million times on this podcast. Check out the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Very pirate. She's very pirate. Just her whole life story, how she's lived her life outside of the norm. Like, she herself is super pirate. So yeah, I would love to talk to her and get that yes from her.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard it's a no for now. If it's not a yes, it's a no for now.
Yes. That goes for most things, just not general consent. You're not advocating that.
We're not advocating that you take this for sexual purposes, dating purposes, or any of those things.
Exactly. In that case, no means no.
Oh, it's no.
Always.
Please walk away.
Please walk away. We are not saying it's a no for now. We just want to clarify. Like,
right.
Caron and Kristin said it's just no for now. No. Okay. So what are you looking forward to for this next year?
That's a great question.
I mean, assuming you want to continue, like, you can tell me now if you're like,
we're getting real now.
I mean, you might want to just block off the calendar. You're at least stuck with me until what? July? What?
End of July.
End of July. So,
I'm excited about growing more, learning more, and I've got my fingers crossed that the borders allow us to visit. I'm going to put it out there that we'll be able to see each other in person finally this next year. Yeah. And it's got to be able to be a possibility at some point in time, right?
Absolutely. I did have a friend, we just had a long weekend here in Canada. I don't know if you guys did that. My friend was like, oh, I went to Seattle for the long weekend. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, what is the testing and stuff. She's like, yeah, you don't need to be tested anymore. You just need to be vaccinated, which I am. So I'm like, oh, if we don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on testing anymore, that sure opens things up. So yeah, this year.
Yeah. I was looking because I have a friend that has a van. I was looking to see if I can go through, but there's still not as, it doesn't go the other way so as well.
Well, you do have to be vaccinated.
Even
come down. I have to be vaccinated. So
and there's still major restrictions even for driving to get to Alaska. So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that is we're gonna share that one. So that is what we're looking forward to in the next year is meeting in real life. Because Kristin and I have never smelled each other's butts.
Nope.
Which is, as a dog owner, I know how important that is in deciding if you like someone. You have to sniff each other's butts, which I've always said was the one thing wrong with internet dating. So you don't get to sniff each other's butts before you decide to go on a date. In real life, you do.
This is true.
Maybe not your actual ass, but get a sense of your smell.
Get those pheromones.
Get those pheromones. Yeah. I think we have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
And a lot to be thankful for and grateful for.
Yeah, this has been a fun year. We've got, I'm super grateful for everyone that's listening. Everyone that has reached out wanting to share their story, and then also sharing with their friends about the podcasts. There have been a few guests that we've had on that have surprised me too, with saying like, yeah, I listened to your podcasts. I've heard all the episodes and I tell my friends to listen. I'm like, cool. Thank you. Get so excited every time somebody says that.
Me too. Every time we get great feedback from like Instagram or something, or a message, like just know that does mean a lot to us. Like we're not some huge, bajillion listener podcast yet. And so we really truly do appreciate each and every one that reaches out, that likes, that shares, that listens, that downloads, that and that the guests that join us people are so open with sharing their stories, which is great. Because I mean, otherwise it'd just be you and me talking,
right? Which we could do, and we'd likely run out of ideas at some point and start saying the same thing again.
Yeah, after 68 episodes, we might have started repeating ourselves by now.
Or I'd just pull out the Be More Pirate book and start quoting like I was doing for a while anyway. It's like, I love this quote and I love this quote.
Which is great. We both did that. Like, there's so many great quotable things out of there. But yeah, so much to be grateful for. Anything else?
Was just thinking about the Be More Pirate book and how like initially that was part of the inspiration with the podcast, because through doing Enlifted and Mark saying, here, read this book, that and Women Who Run with Wolves, right? There's so many words I usually skip one. Women Who Run with Wolves and Be More Pirate were the two main inspirations. And so once I landed on Pirate Living and took a look at Be More Pirate, and then the How to Be More Pirate book too, there's so much to learn from both of those books on how it is that pirates lived and the lessons that we can learn from them. And it's not just Pirates of the Caribbean where Jack Sparrow running around with his bottle of sand or rum or any of those things. Like they're actually out creating change. And yeah, that's why we why we have this podcast and why we like to interview people, is to talk about how people are living life outside of the norm.
Yeah. Yeah, and having Alex Barker on, that was also a great episode.
Mhm.
Is that like number 2 or no?
It was,
That was
yeah.
number 2. Yeah. She was our first pirate queen.
Mhm.
And yeah, the influence of the Be More Pirate community, because we've had a few guests from the books that were highlighted in the books or in the Be More Pirate community on as guests, and they're always super interesting
Mhm.
folks doing really cool shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking through some of them, and there's more than even I realized, like, because we had James Berg, Francisca Elmer, Crystal. Now I'm only remembering her Instagram handle. Elsinger, is that it? Because I want to call her Crystal Maze. That's her Instagram handle.
Yeah.
Elsinger, I think. Yeah, there are some more in there too. Yeah, and you can read more about all of their stories in How to Be More Pirate, which was cool to be able to take the book out whenever we had them and be like, okay, I get to read the book and see what they said here and ask them some questions about that too. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, so shout out to the Be More Pirate crew.
Yeah. And we love talking to all you from the Be More Pirate crew too. Like keep shouting out to us. We'll gladly have you on to talk about your pirate ways. And listeners, let us know who you'd like to hear. Who are some of your dream guests? We love introductions to new pirates as well.
Yeah. If you have some super piratey people in your life, you're like, you gotta talk to this person. Send them our way. Or if you are a pirate, if you identify as a pirate. If your pronouns are R and matey. I think those are now our pronouns.
R and matey.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I'm sad to see go is our pirate jokes. I think we've exhausted it.
Yeah, we were getting some repeats there. There are still some more if we were to control, but it was more fun to let people bring jokes, and we started hearing repeats a little too often.
Yeah, that's true. So that was good for the first year.
What can we do for the second year?
Yeah, what's a great way? It's a fun way to end the podcast now, where if we've exhausted the pirate jokes. So that's another thing we're putting out for you listeners to help us with. Who's your dream guest, and how should we end the show now that we've
lost you again?
Stupid. Am I back?
You are. Nope. Now you are again. There.
I feel like I need
slowly, or else your neck doesn't hear me. I can see it's giving me alerts that I keep switching microphones. No.
Well, good thing we're wrapping up.
Yeah, good thing. Yeah, awesome. It's been an amazing year, and I want to thank you for all your hard work, for all the editing and doing the social media stuff and creating cool shit like the Pirate Queen post, and you do a lot for us, and we literally wouldn't have a podcast without you.
Well, you're welcome. I've learned a lot. So, I mean, my editing is super simple with it, and I've learned a lot. And we have fun shirts too.
Oh yeah, our merch, so good.
So, which now is in 2 places, because it's on TeePublic, and I gave us a Pirate Living little section on my website, KristinJoyCoaching.com. I mostly booted off Mark's ridiculous teas because barely anybody was actually knowing they existed, especially now that he's off Instagram. So if anybody's listening to this and had heard about Mark's ridiculous teas and is wondering why they're not there anymore, because he's no longer promoting his ridiculous teas.
True. Instead, you can buy some really cool Pirate Living merch.
Yes.
Which helps pay Kristin for all of our hard work.
So yeah, and you can create good trouble. And that's my favorite one, the create good trouble.
Yeah, that's a great one. The one we have stickers too.
Oh yeah, we have stickers.
They're like on everything I have. Where's it? There they are.
Mine's on the back of my computer. My water bottle's not up here. It's on that. So yeah, lots of fun. Lots more fun to come. And thank you, Caron, for asking about the podcast and getting the ball rolling, because this has been a fun year and I'm looking forward to more.
Me too.
I don't remember how to stop this. So there we go.